Live from the historic Ham Building in St. Paul, it's the Haberdasher's Couch. I'm Kendrick, inviting you to the show, starring Heimie and Dorsett, featuring Todd Walker, also featuring Amye Scharlau. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Heimie.
Welcome to another show of the Haberdasher's Couch, where you don't have to pay somebody to listen to you. We've got some great guests on today. Amye Scharlau is back from her hiatus. She was all over the country, Colorado, the East Coast. She was everywhere, but she's back here telling us about emoji symbolism today. And then I got Brian from the Parker House, of the great realtor Parker House group, and he's gonna clue us in on what's happening with this inflation in the market. So Keith, how are you?
Outstanding.
I would say that again. You are outstanding and very, very handsome.
It's the tide. It's the tide. The tide that bounce.
Keith, so we went through, all the leaves are off the trees.
Yeah,
right?
the trees got a little confused this year.
They did?
Yeah, October was
It was 72 degrees yesterday. So.
spooky.
Enough about the weather.
But it's always about the weather up here.
Enough about the weather.
You're in Minnesota, you can have 4 seasons in one day.
So is it my understanding that you, my friend, prepared Heimies for the winter storms coming along, eh?
Got to prepare in style.
He's something up his design sleeve. I'm always impressed by Keith and his approach to design, functionality, form and function. You know, you can't just buy an overcoat just anywhere anymore because they're not making them.
No.
What happened to the overcoat business?
Well, I think we just had to adjust to it's an overcoat for us.
Right.
It's more of a style piece as well.
Okay.
So you can have, like you said, form and function and style.
Could you say that the relationship between manufacturing a fine, heavy-weighted, overcoat is, could we say, climate change? Our temperatures are rising. We're in our cars all the time. We're not commuting as much. Now we get this car coat sort of concept where it's not too hot when we're sitting in the car, but warm enough going from building to building or whatever.
Well, I kept it very specific. We're still in Minnesota, so you can be in your car all you want. At some point, cold weather's going to crazy.
We're not going to wrap your mama in the Bahamas in this.
Not in this bad boy.
I love your mama.
Yeah, she's pretty fun. So.
Hey, tell me a little story behind this baby.
Well, I think I wanted, again, we did a traditional cut, a traditional style with a little bit more modern cut, softer shoulder.
What'd you do here?
And it is a car coat. That's just for traveling and make it look a little fancier than it is.
Look at the point length on that.
You gotta put some muscle on it.
This would broaden my shoulders.
Yeah, we put some muscle on it,
Right.
Amye can talk about emojis and sex. I can talk about colors and sex.
Herringbones and doody-dadas.
So, but it's a herringbone pattern, a traditional herringbone pattern, and so it's.
Is this Viconia?
It is a alpaca mix. So what you're seeing is more technical fabrics, not as heavy of a weight,
right.
but you hit the nail on the head. It's a car coat, so people are moving in and out of their cars.
Right.
We still are going to ball games.
Right.
We're still going out and about. And
are you
so
calling this? Is this a 4? What is this?
6 on 2.
A 6 on 2.
6
so you
on
got
2.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yes, it wraps you like a blanket.
On 2.
Yeah. So that's what it is.
That's the mathematical equation. That's all the further that Keith can go
That's
in the math department.
Yeah.
We get a 6 on 2, baby.
And keep it legal.
That's right. I tell you what, can you come down and see us, because we'd love to make you in our custom program. Keith would like to see you down here too, and all the guys. We're making these overcoats this season, and they are wonderful.
They're beautiful.
We stay tuned for the rest of the show because we got Amye and Brian on next.
Hello, I'm Amye the Hypnotist here at beautiful Heimie's Haberdashery, and this is Coffee Talk. Today we are going back to that wonderful Thanksgiving tradition, that rite of passage that we've all gone through in elementary school, which is, of course, taking your handprint and making it into a turkey. But did you know that when you are making a handprint, not only are you making fun art, but you are going back to a tradition that's over 80,000 years old. Humans have been making images, have been leaving handprints for thousands and thousands of years. In fact, it's not only humans, you go back into time, and it's even Neanderthals. So, how does this affect us today? Images are very, very important. Humans react to images and pictures very, very strongly and immediately. That's why we use emojis. It's more information than just the words. So, how do those emojis affect us today? Well, one recent study that came out in Psychology Today is that people who use emojis on dating sites, not only do they get more dates, but they also have more sex. So, you can thank me for that piece of information later, and I will see all of you next week. Heart, heart, smiley face, thumbs up, everybody.
Welcome to another show of the Haberdasher's Couch. You don't have to pay somebody to listen to you. With mortgage rates recently crossing the 6% threshold, home sales cooling, and fears of a recession looming, I brought on our real estate expert, because we have experts in every field, to the Haberdasher's Couch to tell us a little bit about what's happening with this prices down and rates up. From the Parker House Group, I have Brian Parker. Brian, nice to have you on the show. Bring me up to date on what's going on in the housing market.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of news about the interest rates going up. Obviously, that's actually happening. Prices they were kind of peaking at one point, right? The first, second quarter, third quarter, they started to kind of level down, but they're not going down.
So, a lot of people, I don't know, me in particular, when you talk about interest rates, right? In the Fed's hiking interest rates, we're actually trying to fight inflation.
Correct.
Right? It could be rising fuel costs, could be access to commodities, to grain, to whatever it might be. Other markets play into that.
Entirely. A lot of all the other markets are affected way harder than the real estate market is.
Right.
I mean, sometimes those rate hikes don't actually affect the rate hike of rates for mortgages.
So, why do we put so much onus on if the housing market is good, the economy is good?
Well, the housing market is actually the foundation for the economy all the way around, so that's why.
So why don't we get rid of the stock market and call it the housing market?
I wish I knew that.
Right?
I'd be Buffett sitting here if I knew that.
So are you seeing all sorts of different types of clientele showing up looking for houses, still looking for houses?
We still have the supply and demand. It's a issue, or keeping things going, if you will. So even though rates are going up, prices are still kind of going up, but they're not at the rate it were.
Right.
But there's still not that many houses out there for sale. So
sure. You would think people would try to jump in and lock in.
That's what the encouragement is.
That's probably what's happening, right?
That's what we've been encouraging. Yes.
So it might be bad news for sellers.
Not necessarily. The equity is still there. It's just we're not crazy like we were before, but the market was not dumb. It wasn't stupid. It was crazy, but it wasn't dumb. So you got people that were buying houses, and you heard the stories, 40, 50 grand over the sale price, stuff like that was going on. But actually, they got to what the house was worth.
Are you qualifying people fairly easy?
Yeah. They've lost a bit of buying power on paper with the interest rates going up, but the prices are kind of matching still. So it's not impossible.
So is there such a thing as a concession where this will force the housing prices down, listing prices down?
I think it'll slow the rate of the prices going up, but it's not going to bring them below a number. It's not like, well, it's going to start going this way. No.
Okay, so we won't conflate. Well, I tell you what, any other advice that you can give before we let you off the hook?
Anybody that's looking to buy, do it now, please. If you're on the fence and you're worried about rates, don't worry about the rates. Like I said before, it's date the rate and marry the house.
Right.
You can always at least latch on and grab a hold of that equity,
right?
Because the equity is still rising. So while you're waiting for rates to drop, and if that's when you decide to buy, you've missed out on a ton of equity in the meanwhile.
Okay. And Brian says if you don't call him, he can't help you. So call Brian, and we'll have a link to Brian's website, and you can take a look at that. Thanks for joining us today, Brian. Nice to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me.
You bet.